And last but not least, we have with us Vasudha Seth, the Director of Sales at ArcelorMittal Dofasco and the Vice Chair at Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Vasudha Seth began her professional career at Dofasco in 1988. She has been part of several transformation initiatives at Dofasco and business integration efforts when ArcelorMittal acquired Dofasco in 2006. Since 2013, Vasudha Seth is the General Manager of Marketing. She is responsible for developing target market positions and executing strategies to achieve that position. Welcome, Vasudha ji. We're so excited to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. It's my honor and privilege to be invited to participate in this panel this evening, and I much appreciate the opportunity to share my story and some of my experiences with the others.
Thank you. Nice to meet you virtually. And I'm going to kind of kick it off with the same question to you before we get into kind of the questions. And there might be some live questions coming into because everyone's really excited to hear these stories. But, you know, just regarding the topic for today's panel discussion about women who have reached the top and have managed to stay there. So what's the secret? What's the journey about? If you could share that for us, please.
Well, I don't know if I have a secret, but I can share a little bit of my story and talk a little bit about my experiences and share, you know, some of the lessons that I've learned. I think first, in terms of my background, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do when I was in high school, I was not really sure, but, you know, I thought, well, I like math, I like science, you know what, I think I'm going to go into engineering, and my dad's an engineer. And so we kind of had that roots in our family. And so I chose that path, and I studied at the University of Toronto. And when I was there between my third and fourth year, I had the opportunity to work for a summer at the time what was Dofasco. So steel facility in Hamilton. For those of you who have ever driven across the Skyway Bridge on your way to Niagara Falls, you would see the steel mills in Hamilton on the way there. So an industry that was then and still to this day really is male dominated. So when I started there were about 13,000 employees working at Dofasco. We're maybe 5,000 now, so much smaller than we were back then. And I'm really happy to say there's been a tremendous change in terms of the demographics of the company. There's certainly a lot more women in professional and also in some manufacturing roles, and more women in leadership roles. And certainly I'm one of the examples of one of those people that's done that. But I will also say part of my journey was realizing fairly early on that even though I studied engineering and I entered into this industry from more of a technical entry point, I realized fairly quickly that I probably wasn't the best fit for really where my strengths were. And I chose to expand a little bit of my thinking and push myself a little further. And I did my MBA as well, and realized that maybe going down a little bit more of that business and strategy path was maybe a better fit for me. And so I think one of the lessons along the way is being open-minded to think about maybe things you start down one path, it might not be the one that is necessarily going to be the one that is where you're going to grow. So one of the things I was going to talk about is challenging yourself, and what, you know, part of the theme this year was choose to challenge. And I think a big part of that is choose to challenge yourself as well, and what your opportunities are, and really maybe where your strengths are that you can build on. So, you know, I was thinking about one of the stories that was said earlier, and I really appreciate hearing the comments from Mayor Crombie, and it's an honor to be on this panel with you, Mayor. I am a resident of Mississauga as well. Just want to say we moved to Mississauga in 1979, actually not far after the train derailment, if you remember when that happened, but my family's lived in Mississauga for many years, and so I still do, and I've raised my children here as well. I think one of the things that you know, in my career early on was recognizing that there's sometimes the softer skills are things that you don't even realize that you have, and those are sometimes the things that help you differentiate what you can bring to help, you know, make your business succeed and help yourself succeed. And A story that goes back to the story that I think we heard from the president of FedEx, Lisa Lisson, is I had a similar call from the boss, and the boss was the CEO of Dofasco at the time, and he's since retired. And I was called by his secretary, and she said, "Can you come up to see John? He'd like to see you this afternoon." And I had no idea what the call was about, and I was like, "What do I do? How should I prepare for this meeting?" And she said, "No, just come." And I said, "Okay, fine." So I came up to John's office, and he said, "Well, Vasudha, how do you feel about being the next general manager for environment and energy?" And I was completely taken aback at the time. I remember feeling like my knees were shaking because I was, quite surprised by the question. And by the way, I was 6 months pregnant with my second son at the time, and I said, "John, that's crazy. I'm about to go on maternity leave." And he said, "No, but that doesn't change that. That doesn't take away from making the right decision. If that's the right decision for us, for the company, for you, we will wait for you to come back from your maternity leave before you enter into that role." And I was completely taken aback by that. It goes to, I think, the challenge yourself and be willing to sometimes take on your risks, even though it was frightening and it was scary, but it was, I look back and I think it was one of the best decisions that I had made in my career. So, and things just continue to go from there. So we'll talk about that, I think, more in terms of the discussion, but I think one of the things is challenge yourself, be prepared to take on some risks, and don't underestimate some of the things that you bring to the table that maybe you don't even realize sometimes you have those skills and they take you forward in your career. So so that's a little bit of what I would say in terms of my journey.
Amazing. What an amazing journey. And you're so right about what you said about challenging yourself and being open to change, because sometimes, and it's important to realize our strengths and our weaknesses. And I can totally, connect with the point you made about soft skills and how we sometimes don't know, because I grew up being a national hockey player, and I didn't realize at the time while I was playing the sport and having so much fun and loving the game that I was developing a lot of leadership skills, which really came in handy in my corporate life journey. So it was so transferable, but I didn't realize at the time. And even your company, I mean, I've heard of Dofasco a lot. My husband's an engineer too, so probably that's why the name. And I think it's a very famous corporate slogan that our product is steel, our people, our strength is people.
That's it. It's so amazing. So many people remember that logo because, and that slogan that we have, our product is steel, our strength is people. Absolutely. And, that's right.
I mean, I think you already said that, and I had that question for you later on, but you already, said that it's a steel company. It's a male-dominated industry. So, I mean, it's really commendable what you achieved in a male-dominated industry. And the fact that it was really nice to hear that your organization was willing to wait for you to come back for mat leave because you were the right choice. We don't hear these stories very often. So that was really amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.